Good morning. Today we're looking at Example 1 out of Section 3.5, an Introduction to Solver, out of the text Business Calculus with Excel. I'm starting with a nice easy parabola, f of x equals 9x minus x squared plus 7. I want to find the interesting points. Interesting points could include the vertex, the places where it's equal to 0, and if I have an interval, the minima with the added restriction that I have to stay between 0 and 10. So I'd like to find a variety of values. I'd first of all like to find my intercepts where the x value, the y value is 0 by changing the x value. My y value is in B32. I'm going to open up Solver. I have a y value in B32. I'm going to change the x value, which is in A32. I want it to be a value of 0. I tell it to solve. It takes a second and says it found an answer. It found an answer of 9.7, and so it had started at 10 and it went to 9.7, and there we have a 0. I want the other root, so I'm going to say that's okay. My other root is near 0, so I'm going to start out at 3 as my x value. Again, I'd like to change y, which is B32, to 0 by changing x, which is A32. I tell it to solve. It computes. It says it finds a value of minus 0.72. The next thing I'd like to do, which is something Solver does, and it was much harder with goal-seek, is I'd like to find the vertex. And with goal-seek, we found a derivative and found where the derivative was 0. With Solver, it's much easier. I'm going to say I have a function. I want to find the maximum of that function. And I tell it to solve. And it finds it at 4.5 is where the maximum is. So I did that without having to go through and compute other things. Now the next thing is I want a minimum, but I'm starting at this side and I don't let myself go past 10. So I'd like to find a constrained minimum. I want to go on this side, but I can't go past 10. So I'm going to pull up Solver. B32 is what I'm trying to minimize in this case. I'm going to change A32. Now I'm going to add a constraint, and my constraint is that A32 has to be less than or equal to 10. And I have my constraint put in. I tell it to solve. And it's going to say, well, that will be minimized when A32 is actually equal to 10. The other constrained minimum is if I start at something like 3, I'd like to do the constrained minimum again, except this time I'm going to change my constraint. It's not that A32 is less than or equal to 10, it's that A32 is greater than or equal to 0. I want to find as my minimum. I compute and tell it to solve. And it finds it's going to have the constrained minimum when I run into the wall at 0, and I'll have the value of 7. So notice it's given me these values, the interesting values that I knew, but this shows me how to use Solver. Thank you.